Dear children, in your 10th standard, we have grammatical section, and this grammatical section includes tenses, modals, active passive, subject verb agreement, prepositions, determiners, clauses, and many more. So good morning all of you. I begin with the grammatical section, as we have already done the first flight book, which we have already completed 2 chapters, 2 prose section, 2 poems, and also the next book, which is Footprints Without Feet. That is 2 chapters out of it have been completed. Now it's time to change a little bit, which I just come to this syllabus. It's grammatical section. First part, tenses, the first topic which I have completed in the month of April. I won't repeat it right now, as we have to go through the next topic, modals, now. So please try to listen to me carefully as well as understand it very well. That modals are very special verbs which are also called modal auxiliary verbs. They are special words which express your feelings, your emotions, your special expressions at times. They are also used in daily life, and they have very special position, place in your life, that is special in your sentences. So modals are the auxiliary verbs, and they are of various types because they express many kind of moods. And I begin with the nature of modals. You should remember always that modals cannot be used single. Some other verb, which is main verb, you can say finite verb, is always used with modals. I give you an example. I can work very hard. If you analyze this sentence, I can work very hard. I analyze it. I is subject, can is a modal verb, and work is the main verb, finite verb, and hard work is the complementary part which complements the main verb, work. So can and work, there are 2 categories of different verbs. Can is modal verb and work is main auxiliary finite verb. So modal verbs are always used with the finite main verbs. They cannot be used single. And you can see the second nature of the modal verbs says that modal verbs are always infinite. When I taught you infinite verbs in 9th standard, but I repeat it right now. What are infinite verbs? These verbs never change, even in their spellings, with any change in the number, person, or the tense of the sentence. If you use any number of nouns and pronouns, first, that is single or plural number, singular or plural number. If I change person, first person, second person, third person, they never change. If I change the tense, for example, any tense, past, present, future, anyone or any category of these tenses, these modal verbs never change at all. They will not be changed by their spellings or any form. So modal verbs are called infinite verbs also. And even after that, modal verbs, we cannot use 2. Before the main principal verb, we cannot use 2. I give an example. You must do this. You must bring me a glass of water. I cannot speak like that. You must to bring a glass of water for me. You must to bring and must bring. There are 2 different sentences in which first one is you must bring a glass of water for me is absolutely correct. If I talk about you must to bring a glass of water is totally wrong. It is incorrect, in fact. So we cannot go for that. We cannot use to before the principal verb just after the modal verb. This is one of the third nature of modal verbs. Now just talk about the real modals. There are various modals we have: will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might, ought to, must, need to, have to, and others. We shall speak about all. I will explain each and every one. I begin with the will, W-I-L-L. Will is basically an auxiliary verb if it is used in future tenses. And it shows the tense of the sentence in future. But when it comes to the use of modal, will as a modal, then it has slightly different function. Of course, it will be used in expressing future tense. But remember, when it becomes a modal verb, I have to tell you. You must remember when I was teaching you tenses. In future simple tenses, will was used with second and third persons. First and second persons. Only first persons. Singular and plural. I repeat, shall is used with I and we, first person. Will is always used with you, he, she, they and it. They are second and third persons. But when will and shall are exchanged with the pronouns, will is used with I and we, and shall is used with you, they, he, she, it. In that case, will and shall both become modal verbs. Let me talk about will now. If I say I shall go to market, it's a simple sentence. It is simple affirmative assertive sentence that I will go to market. I shall go to market. But if I use will in British English, if shall is replaced with will, then will becomes a modal verb, and it shows promise and determination. Then you cannot use, if you show determination, promise, in that case will becomes a modal and it cannot replace shall. So to show these kind of expressions, we have to use will in place of shall. I tell you in expressions. I shall go to market. It is a simple sentence which I am saying just casually. But if I speak this sentence, I will go to market. I will go to market. That shows a determination and promise, of course. For example, if you say promise, I will bring you a piece of chocolate. I'll bring you a chocolate packet for you. I'll present you chocolate. Then I will shows a promise. This kind of expression. So what does it mean? In English language, we use modals to express specific conditions, specific expressions, so that you understand it very easily. When you read something, it doesn't mean that these modals do not express anything. If you read like robo, then you will come to know where this expression is used, which kind of expression is written here. It's easy for you to read, to understand the expressions. This way, these modals are incorporated in our sentences in written form and spoken forms. But otherwise, when you see somebody speaking, you can easily see the expressions as well as the words which incorporates in the sentences. These words express the feelings directly. When you come to other models, then you will come to know more about it. Okay, I've talked about two modals like will and shall. I repeat them and I'll proceed to next one with examples now. So I use one simple sentence. I will kill you. What does it mean? I have expressed my action. I will kill you. I will kill you. What does it mean? I will kill you. I promise, I am determined to kill you. So what does it mean? It's a promise or determination, not something which has been decided. It's an expression. If I say, I shall kill you, the person standing before you will start laughing. He will understand that the person speaking, I shall kill you, means he is saying casually. So shall, when you go deep into the language, then you will understand it better. When I tell you that when you talk in Hindi and you use wrong words, people around you start laughing because what language you are using, what words you are using in your sentences, that you understand very well. I'll give you examples when I come to your classes. I speak Hindi and I'll give you some Hindi examples also. But now I'm just not recollecting some other examples of Hindi. But still, you laugh when you hear wrong words in your Hindi sentences. Similarly, when you are promising something, when you are determined to do something, never we cannot use will with I, shall with I. Shall becomes casual. And similarly, simultaneously I am telling about shall also. This way, will and shall are completed from my side. I just talk about shall also with example. That if I say, you will bring the notebook tomorrow, it is casual sentence. You will bring your notebook tomorrow. So will you bring your notebook tomorrow? I am asking casually. If I say, shall you bring your notebook tomorrow? That is, I am expecting a promise from her, promise from the student. So, shall you bring your notebook tomorrow is, I am confirming from the person. Then the student has to reply in, if the student is promising, then the person must say, I will bring the notebook tomorrow, sir. With I, that student has to use will to promise. Otherwise, if the student says casually, then shall has to be used. Yes sir, I shall bring notebook tomorrow. Then teacher will understand that student has answered in a casual sentence and the student is very casual in his promise. So that cannot be considered as a promise. So remember children, will and shall has to be used very carefully when you use them in the expressions of determination and promise. Otherwise, will and shall are used to express the future tense, future time reference in future tenses. But if they are simply denoting some assertion, affirmation, or any other expressions which are very casual in nature, then I and we will have shall, you, we, they, he, she, it will have will. If they are exchanged, then they become modal of promise and determination. One more thing in addition to will and shall, that if we talk about the negative forms of will and shall, will's negative form is won't. In short, in compression, in compressed word, it is won't. And if I talk about shall not becomes shan't, SHA and apostrophe T. That way, they are the short forms of will and shall. Now I proceed to the next modal, that is should and would. Dear children, if I talk about would is nothing but the past form of would, of will. The will is used in future reference and would is used to express past form of will. But remember, this would is used when we convert direct sentences to indirect sentences. Then in the reported speeches, generally when we convert a direct speech to indirect speech, we use would in place of will. But that should be past form. For example, if I say, I said, I will come to you tomorrow. If I convert it into the indirect speech, then indirect speech will contain this form. I said that I would come tomorrow. I said that I would come to you tomorrow. Then this is a simple past form. Then will becomes would. This is called expressions of narration, reported speech. But remember, not just in reported speech we use will to would or would is used in that case. Would is also used in present form, present time reference also. What are the indications of these? The uses of would. The indications of would is when you are so polite to speak something, when you ask any request, when you ask for any request, when you offer somebody help, when you are so polite in your expression, then would is used. So request and your politeness, these are the two main expressions when you use would. And I give example. It's very common, generally we use, would you please give me a glass of water? Would you please give me the way? What does it mean? Would means you are so polite in requesting somebody to give the way, or you are requesting somebody to give, please offer or bring you a glass of water. So it is a polite request. It is called mannerism. That you are so humble in your nature, in your spoken words, that you are requesting somebody to do something for you. Then person will be pleased to hear words that you are so humble and you are requesting somebody to do something. That way, that is very good expression. Use of would in the form of present time reference, future time reference also. For example, if I talk about, would you please bring a glass of water? What does it mean? It means still the glass of water has not been brought. The glass of water will be brought by somebody later on in future tense, future time. But still, if you analyze this particular sentence, would you please give me a glass of water? That is spoken in present time reference. For example, I am saying right now, would you please open your books? It means I am asking you immediately at the present time. So in present time reference also we can use would. But expression can also be understood in the form of would is also used in future time reference. For example, the books are not still opened by you. So it is just a matter of understanding. Would is used as a polite request, to express humbleness, to express request, to please somebody. This is the modal would. Now we have should. Should, of course, it is used in the past form of shall. Of course, they are also used in narration, reported speeches. Then shall is converted to should. But if we talk about in present time reference or future time reference, or when we talk about should, then should is also a kind of request, or it is basically when we talk about some advice also. The main indication for should is advice. When we generally give suggestions also. And there is a difference between suggestion and advice, which I told you. Advice is a formal word and suggestion is very informal word, where suggestions can be given by anyone, but advice is always given by elders and seniors and authoritative person. So remember that, the difference between them. Should is generally used to give advice. Should can also be used for suggestions, but there are certain conditions for that. But remember that, try to avoid the use of should in case of suggestions. In suggestions, generally suggestions are given by the persons who are inferior or younger ones, or the people who don't have any authority. Then suggestions are given, and in that case should, I feel that it should be avoided and should always be used in the case of formal advice. So I just give an example. You should always wear uniform when you come to school. It is an advice. You should wear the cold, you should not drink cold drinks during winter. You should not drink hot drinks during summers. That is an advice. You should take medicine right now. So this is an advice. So these are few examples of should. So will and should, would and should are completed from my side. If you still have doubts, you can always ask me the meanings, the expressions, and the use of will, shall, would, should. Dear children, in your 10th standard, we have grammatical section, and this grammatical section. Good morning, children, and in continuation with the modals, I am here, and I completed the modals will, shall, would, should in last class, and today we have to continue with the more modals, which are can, could, may, might, must, have to, has to, had to, need to, ought to, dare to, and used to. So in this particular session I am going to teach you and tell you the uses of these modals, which are can, could, may, might, and must, have to, has to, and had to, and ought to, used to, dare, and need to. So these are some modals which are left, which are the next part, the part of this class, and I start with the can. Can is a modal of ability. Mainly this expression is used for can. And I have just a very good experience of this particular can, which I just compared this word particularly with may, which I feel the students generally misunderstand the word can with may, and they interchange these words when they speak sentences. First I come to can. Can is used to express ability of a person. I tell you, I begin with an example. I have experienced with some students who speak this way, that whenever they take permission from me and they just say, "Sir, can you please give me your pen?" Or they ask generally, "Can I go to drink water?" So I am surprised to see that. They are not told that, my dear children, the can is not used for permission. And they have to replace can with may. May is the appropriate word which is always used for permission. But dear students, most of you use can. This is the special message which I want to give you today. That remember always, can should not be used with permission or sentences of permission. Avoid it immediately. Immediately you think that in your brain the word can should be replaced with may when you take permissions. I come to can. Can shows ability. What you can do. What are your potentialities? What are your potentials? What are your abilities? If I talk about you can read, you can write well, you can lift a heavy load, you can act very good, you can perform very good dance. These are all your abilities and potentials which you can do. So can is used there when you show your potentials, your abilities, your positives, your strengths. So always use can there. I give you example. You can say, "Sir, I can lift 100 kg weight. I can weigh, I can lift. I can run 5 kilometers at a stretch." So this can also be used when you show your abilities, your strengths. You can say, "Sir, I can read very fast. I can run very fast. I can swim very well. I can do that. I can do this." This is the word can, which shows your abilities, strengths, positivity, and so many things. So my dear children, you use can when you show your abilities. Now I just give you one more example. One student asked me, "Sir, can I go to drink water outside?" I said, "Okay, yes, you can. But remember, you should have some power to lift your legs. You should have strength to stand up. You should have an ability to walk. And you should have strength to open the doors. Then you should have an attitude to go outside. Then you certainly can go to drink water outside." Then students started laughing. The reason is, when he said, can I go to drink water outside? That shows that he is asking me whether he has an ability to go outside to drink water. Was he able to drink water outside? It shows ability. So what does it mean? It was not a permission. He was asking me that whether he has strength to stand up and walk and go to drink water. Was he able to do these three things? I said, yes, you are able to do all these three things. But condition is that you must have strength in your body. Then you can go. So my dear children, please do not misunderstand can with may. I repeated many times in the classes. I believe this is my single video where I am not getting disturbed by the noise of the students sitting before me. I can straight away give my message directly to you this way. Remember that for permissions, may is used. Side by side, comparing can and may, I have told you about may also, but may is also used in optative sentences, where some slogans, some blessings, some wishes, these kind of sentences or these expressions are used in the sentences. May you live long. May God bless you. May long live India. These are some sentences which are optative sentences where we use may. May is mainly used for permissions from the authorities, from your seniors, your elders. So dear children, two models are completed here. I come to could. Could is the past form of can. When could is used in the past form in the case when you get a reported speech in which reporting verb is past. For example, I said, I asked, I replied. Then your direct speech starts. I replied, sir, I don't have book. If I convert in I cannot sit nicely. Then I have to tell you the meaning, convert to indirect speech. I just changed the example. Just student said, or he said, student replied, sir, I cannot sit nicely. This can be converted into reported speech that way, that student replied that he could not sit nicely. So he could not sit. So in place of can, could is used. In case of the reporting verb is past and it is reported speech category. The grammatical section is reported speech, narration. There it changes can to could. And if I talk about present time reference or future time reference, when the action has to take place just after that moment, after the spoken sentence, then could can be used. But remember, why could is used? What are the indications to use could? First one is past ability or request, polite request. These are some indicators to use could. Where I just give you an example. Could you please give me the way? You are polite at the time. You are requesting. You are very humble. You are asking for the ability of that person, that whether he can move from here away so that he could pass, he could go, he could take the way to go. If I just express myself, sir, could you please give me the way, let me go. This is my expression. So that person thinks that person is so polite, asking me, requesting me to move away a bit so that he could pass. So there could is used. Could you please give me a glass of water? It is polite request when the person is asking that, sir, are you able in that condition? Are you able to give me water? Are you in such a situation to provide me a glass of water? Or am I disturbing you? It means you are asking simultaneously permission, requesting and being polite. You are asking somebody to do some action. There could is used. And there are so many examples. In class also you can ask your teacher, sir, could you please repeat? It means you are requesting the teacher to repeat a particular part of lesson politely and asking him, sir, are you in that such a situation that would you please repeat it? Or you are not comfortable. That way could can be used. Of course, would can also be suitable word, but here I am talking about could. So remember children, can, could, may, these three modals are completed today. I just come to may and might again. If you have seen my lecture right now, I feel that may is very much understood by you. May is used for permissions, optative sentences, and with examples I have expressed it. In those expressions of permission and optative sentences, wishes, slogans and slogans, wishes and blessings, we use may. If I talk about might, then we have to talk about may and might again. May is also used for possibility. Now I talk separately may. Besides permission, polite permission, besides that optative sentence, may is also used for possibilities. Now here come two words. They are possibility and probability. I have discussed in the class, the possibility is an abstract word. If I talk about probability, it is not abstract. It is a calculated possibility. We cannot say probability is an abstract expression. When you talk about probability, it is a part of your mathematics. You can accurately tell what is the nature of that action, how much percentage, how much chances are there. Possibility is simply a chance. More chance, less chance, abstractly you can say. But if I talk about probability, you can directly say, sir, it is just 100% chance. 100% probability of this particular action to be happened. If I talk about outside, I see dark clouds about to rain. I can say it may rain today, it may rain just after 5 minutes. There are near possibility. If I talk about, I see a clear sky above my head, then I can see the sky and can say that it might rain today. I don't say that it may rain there are not near chances. So may is near possibility. If I talk about might, it is far possibility or negative. May is little bit positive, might is little bit negative. Then this is the difference between may and might. Also, might is also used in reported speech as a past form of may. Remember that. And I don't have to repeat reported speech example. I feel you can do it yourself. So I come to the next part, must. Must is a modal. When there is no chance of leaving the action not to be done, must has to be done. and probability is 100%, and you may exceed to that 101, 200%, 1000%. You cannot say it is 99.99999%. Must means 100 and more than 100%. Remember that. Must means that action has to be done. Do or die situation. But there are consequences. If that action is not done, then something might happen, something may happen. That action has to be done. That is called must. This is the indication or the indicator which tells that must. It is a confirmatory modal where the action has to be confirmly done. It has to be done. I come to have to. Has to and had to. These modals express adamant situation. When a person is adamant and he has authority to ask you to do something, of course must is also that, but must is a very vast modal. Must can be used by anyone, but here have to, has to and had to be done formally. A person who is very formal, who is at a position of authority, can use these words. Must can be used by a small little child, young child. Papa, you must bring me a toy for me. He can say that. But have to cannot be spoken by a young child. This is a formal word. There is a limit for that. So what is broader term and what is a limited term? I tell you example that every square is a rectangle and every rectangle is not a square. Here it comes like that. So must is a square and had to, has to and had to are rectangles. Every rectangle cannot be square. So every has to, have to, had to cannot be must. They cannot be spoken by everyone. A young child cannot use these words officially, grammatically, logically. Remember that. So dear children, we have more modals with us. They are ought to. In short, I just would like to complete this session soon so that modals are completed today itself. I just come to ought to. Ought to means to remind you your responsibility. The person who speaks uses this word ought to doesn't have anything to do with that. If I speak this way, the example is, you ought to come in uniform. You ought to respect your parents. It is your duty. It is your duty. It's not my responsibility. Reminding one's own duty, responsibility is the expression of ought to. Where other person doesn't have anything to do with that. Someone reminds of it. That is called ought to. Must is for duty. Have to, has to, had to is for duty. That is the expression for must and ought to. Must and have to, has to, had to. But when we talk about ought to, it is of course reminding one's duty. But in that case, the person has to follow that. Whether he follows or not, it depends on himself or herself. That is called ought to expression. Reminding someone else responsibility is the expression used for which is related to ought to. I come to need to. When there is a requirement, when there is a need to do something, like when you are sick, what do you need? Medicines. When you are thirsty, you need water. When you are hungry, you need food. When you are bare feet, you need shoes. When the condition of need is arised, then we have to use need. You need to drink water. You need to take medicines. You need to go to school. It's time. When there is a condition to be fulfilled with a particular requirement, then we use need to. Otherwise, we don't use need to. We use have to, you ought to, you must, you should. These kind of expressions can be used. Need to means when there is some requirement to do something, when there is supplement which can supplement or complement that action, then we use need to. Now I come to dare. Before that I come to used to. Used to is an expression when it is a habitual action in past. For example, I used to play cricket in my childhood. I used to play kabaddi in my childhood. When I tell my past experience, an habitual action of my past, then we use used to. When an action was frequently done or repeated, then we use used to. We generally avoid using it used to. Used to. We cannot use it. And using to is also avoided. It is not used at all. Used to express past habitual actions. Used to. I come to need to. Need to, I told you, I come to dare. Dare is a word used by the girls and the female fraternity, and they can use it in very common example. How dare you touch me? How dare you touch me? How dare you stare at me? How dare you spoke like that? How dare means आपकी हिम्मत कैसे हुई? I think this is enough for you. Thank you. Have a nice day. And I feel that modals are very clear to you. And my wishes to you that modals are the words to be used correctly in your future sentences. Future means in your sentences now onwards. So remember all. Have a nice, happy English. Thank you so much.